Okay, so today we're going to do 3.5 slope formula. Okay, sometimes we don't have a graph, so we can't count slope. So we have to have a formula so we can mathematically get slope. So here's our formula. It looks really confusing, but I promise you it's not terrible once we get started. Y with a little 2 minus y with a little 1 divided by x with a little 2 minus x with a little 1. Okay, what are those y's and x's? Remember, if I have a point on my graph, it's going to be written like this, x and then y. So that's where these x's and y's come from. Okay, we're just going to jump straight to an example. Let's do 2, 2, and then 5, 3. Those are 2 points. We're finding the slope. We don't have a graph, so we can't count how far up, how far over. Our first step is to label the points. Okay, this 2, is this an x or a y? Well, it's a x, and it's our first x, so we're going to label it as x with a little 1. This 2, this is a y, so I'm going to label it as y with a little 1. 5, that's an x, it's our second x, so we label it with a little 2, and 3 is our second y. So that's how we label, and it'll always be this, x1, y1, x2, y2, because these never flip-flop. They always change x and y. Okay, second step, you're going to set up the formula. Now, whenever I say set up the formula, highlighter here, I mean I want you to set up these parts that do not change. So these parts right here, I want you to do a minus sign, division sign, and a minus sign. Just like that. Okay, and then the third part is plug in numbers. So first I have my y2. Well, what did I label as y2? 3. So 3 goes in right here. Then I have y1. What's y1? 2. So 2 goes right there. Then x2, so 5 would go next. And then x1, which is 2. Okay, 3 minus 2 is 1. 5 minus 2 is 3. So my slope is 1/3. That's it. Let's do another one. -3, -2, and 5, 4. Okay, label your points. Your points are always going to be labeled x1, y1, x2, y2. Set up your formula. So I got my minus sign, division, minus sign. 4 comes first because it's my y2. So 4 minus, and then y1. So a -2. Make sure that does not count as the negative with the 2. You have to write another negative, -2. Then 5, and then my other y, so -3, another negative. What happens whenever I have two negatives side by side? They turn into a positive. So this really turns into 4 plus 2 over 5 plus 3, which is just 6 over 8. We got to simplify, always simplify, so that would be 3/4. Okay, only when the negatives are side by side like this do they turn into a positive. I always say 2 negatives turn into a positive. If I just have 1 negative, I can't turn it into anything. It just stays a negative. Okay, let's do another one. -7, -4, and -3, -2. Label your points, x1, y1, x2, y2. Set up your formula. Why is the pen not working? Okay, first comes a -2, and then a -4, then -3, and -7. Okay, once again, these become positive, these become positive. But these right here stay negative because there's not another negative right beside them. So this would be -2 plus 4, and a -3 plus 7. Okay, if you just type that in your calculator or just do 4 minus 2, you get 2. Type that in, or 7 minus 3, you get 4, and that is 1/2. All right, so that is slope formula. We do have some extra things that we need to talk about, though. I'm not going to do more practice with you, but we do have some weird ones. Let's say my answer is a number with 0 on the bottom. If that's my answer, you would think your answer is going to be 0. But if you type that in, let's say my number is 8 divided by 0, you get an error because in math you cannot divide by 0. So anytime you get a 0 on the bottom, your answer is going to be undefined. Okay, your answer is not this fraction, your answer is undefined. Let's say you get 0 on the top of a number. Take 0 divided by 5, and I get 0. So if 0 is on top, then your answer is just 0. Not this fraction, just 0. Okay, one more thing. Reminders about negatives. I don't know why I did that in all caps, but I did. Okay, reminder about negatives with fractions. The first reminder. If I have my negative up top in my fraction, that's the same thing as having it on the bottom of my fraction, which is the same thing as having it in front of my fraction. So no matter how you write it, it's going to be correct. It's still negative. Okay? In the computer, most of the time we write it like this. On paper, we usually write it like this. I don't care how you write it, but they're all the same thing. One more thing. If I have a -3 over a -4, it doesn't stay like that. Two negatives divided by each other actually turns it into a positive 3/4. So that would not be your answer. That would be your answer. All right, that is slope formula.